And today we'll talk about embryogenesis. So, like we know, organogenesis means formation of
Form
organs.
organ.
So, formation of shoots and roots are the first step towards regeneration from any kind of explant or callus through micropropagation. So in that case, we saw what are the factors that affect organogenesis, mainly the hormones, auxin cytokinin ratio, how you can balance the ratio and keep the explant or the callus in the callus nature itself, or you can change the auxin cytokinin ratio to such an extent that you can induce organogenesis, shoot or root. So that after that you get it is only multiplication step. That is, you are just continuing the medium, subculturing, so that you get the plantlets. You have another type of micropropagation which is more, it is better than going in for organogenesis, like that is embryogenesis. Naturally, embryo is a bipolar structure, but organogenesis is a monopolar one. Either you get a shoot, after that you have to change the medium for rooting. You can't use the same medium for rooting if you go in for organogenesis. So shooting over medium, then after maybe 2 weeks or 4 weeks time, you have to change it to another medium which induces rooting. So that is a monopolar one. Organogenesis is a monopolar method, but embryo is a bipolar structure, because in the same calli bit or whatever you want to convert it into an embryo, it becomes a bipolar. The same, you need not change the medium. So in a way, you have to adjust the media composition in a way that the same bit which you are going to make an embryo develops roots and shoots. So embryo arises from a single cell. It has no vascular connection with maternal callus tissue or the cultured explant. So during organogenesis, shoots or roots develop from a group of cells which later establish a strong connection with the maternal tissue. So you cannot separate them. But in this case, you can separate out the embryo. In this case, it is called a somatic embryo because it is produced from a somatic part of the plant. So you just need a particular, they have told that it is just a single hormonal signal to induce a bipolar structure. So it is definitely more advantageous than organogenesis. So you just have to maintain the hormonal balance, optimize the hormonal balance in such a way that in a single medium you can get an embryo. So embryogenesis is far more advantageous than organogenesis, wherein you have to use two different hormonal signals. You have to maintain for shooting one hormonal value concentration, for rooting another hormonal concentration. So this is definitely, embryogenesis is definitely more advantageous. So we have to, it is called somatic embryogenesis because it is developed from any somatic part of the plant, either explant or callus. So this is a simple cycle explaining the embryogenesis. And this is the uh, somatic embryoids or the embryos. Okay, so normally this is the definition. Process of formation of embryo is embryogenesis. So you all know that it is starts from a single cell. It is a zygote. It can be a zygote, or in somatic embryogenesis, it is from an undifferentiated callus cell. So you can differentiate the zygotic embryos from somatic embryos. Zygotic embryos are always the result of fertilization, but somatic embryos, you don't have fertilization coming into the picture at all. So plant tissue culture, the development pathways of numerous small embryoids resembling the zygotic embryos. It is called somatic embryogenesis. It is produced by either callus tissue or suspension culture or from explant. Anyway, directly from explant, you cannot get embryo. Again, it will again form callus, and from callus, you get the embryoids. So what is an embryoid? It is a small, well organized structure. It is not like callus which is disorganized, which is organized structure comparable to the sexual embryo. So it has a structure resembling the zygotic embryo. You have studied globular, heart-shaped, torpedo-shaped, all these stages of embryo development during zygotic embryogenesis. Similarly, here also in somatic embryogenesis also, each stage is passed on successfully when you use somatic embryogenesis. So you know the types of embryo, there are two types, zygotic and non-zygotic. Zygotic is a natural way of production of embryos. Non-zygotic, you have somatic, parthenocarpic, and androgenic. Somatic is formed by sporophytic cells, that is any kind of any part of the plant, sporophyte, which is made possible in vitro condition, in the laboratory condition, taking into account every factor that affects the growth of the embryo. Okay, so they are also called adventive embryos. Such somatic embryos arising directly from other embryos or organs are termed adventive embryos. So secondary embryos, you can say primary embryo and secondary embryo is also there. Adventive embryos, they say. Parthenocarpic is those formed by unfertilized egg. You can also use ovule as embryonic explant. So those they can be called as parthenocarpic embryos. The androgenic embryos formed by the male gametophyte. When you use the anther as the embryonic explant, you call it androgenic embryos. The main thing about parthenocarpic embryos and androgenic embryos are they are haploid in nature. You can use them for cultivating haploid plants. So in that case, there'll be more than 99% genetic stability from the mother plant. So that's why haploid culture is gaining more importance now. So parthenocarpic embryos and androgenic embryos are part of this haploid culture using development of somatic embryos. So somatic embryogenesis is regeneration of embryos from somatic cells. They are also called non-zygotic or non-sexual embryogenesis. So you have adventive embryos, okay, as one of the type. So this is just to show the difference between zygotic and somatic. Somatic embryos are produced by the sporophytic cells. Zygotic embryos are produced by the gametophytic cells. So here you have in zygotic embryos, it is more natural. So you have seed storage proteins are available, well developed suspensor is present. You have vascular connections with the explant. Okay, they do not show any secondary embryogenesis and low rate of propagation, zygotic embryos. Okay, you can, micropropagation is done using zygotic embryos also. It is not that they are not used for micropropagation, but they have seen that zygotic embryos are less viable than somatic embryos. So here it doesn't, it has no connection with the explant once it is formed. Somatic embryos have no connection with the explant. You can remove them and place them in a medium containing well balanced hormonal and directly develop rooting and shooting at once simultaneously. So they are more advantageous over zygotic embryos. And you don't have suspensor, you don't have much specific reserves like what you have in zygotic embryos, and they have no vascular connections, and they lack a dormant phase. Now this is a very important uh, uh, concept by which it is different from the zygotic embryos. Zygotic embryos or the natural embryos have a dormant phase which is very important for the maturation of the seed and germination. So dormant phase only is important for the germination rate. But that is not seen in somatic embryos. That probably is a disadvantage which has been taken care of in future. This has been taken care of by development of synthetic seed technology now. So this that is why it also that is why it shows secondary embryogenesis. If you keep on subculturing, you get a secondary embryogenesis. You might not it might not develop into a normal plantlet. It might become it might give rise to secondary embryos. Pluricotyledony. So you can, a dicot can become a pluricot. You might have more than two cotyledons. So slight amount of genetic epigenetic instability can also be caused, and they show high rate of propagation. This is a very advantageous uh, thing, because it is very good for micropropagation. So there are certain advantages and disadvantages. Definitely, somatic embryos are the most advantageous means of micropropagation than zygotic embryos. All its problems have been taken care of. All its disadvantages have been taken care of. So various types of explants which are used. You can use immature zygotic embryos as explant inflorescence. You can use cell suspension cultures of any explant. Petioles can be used, protoplasts can be used, leaves, stems, roots, everything can be used as an explant for inducing somatic embryogenesis. So you have two main types of this somatic embryogenesis: direct somatic embryogenesis and indirect embryogenesis. So direct embryogenesis directly from the explant in absence of callus. Very simple. This occurs through pre-embryonic determined cells. So such cells are found in embryonic, naturally they are found in embryonic tissues, pre-embryonic determined cells, PEDC cells. So in that case, you can use, when you use the scutellum of cereals as an explant, you can directly convert them into embryos. If you use scutellum of cereals, because they have this PEDC cells. Indirect embryogenesis, normally they initiate from the explant through callus proliferation. So induced embryogenic determined cells. So it has to be induced. So when you use, you can use secondary phloem of carrot. This is the most common explant used. So when you go in for micropropagation itself, first thing they will say, you make use of carrot tissue. So what you do is you cut the carrot into in the middle, take the middle portion. Normally they use only the middle portion of the carrot as an explant. For any micropropagation, any person who is beginning to use plant tissue culture to work on, in plant tissue culture, they normally go in for this carrot, secondary phloem of carrot. So it is very easy to induce the cells to form embryos. Similarly, they have worked on leaf tissue of coffee, asparagus. There are many plants they have worked on. Any, for some species, again, no, this is again you can't say every plant can be anything, any plant can be used as an explant for embryogenesis. They have done work and they have shown that some plants are not suitable. So in some species, any part of the plant can work as an explant, but some species, only some can work as a for development of somatic embryos, that they have done. So cereals, in such cases, you can't use any part of the plant of the cereals to develop somatic embryos. So again, floral or reproductive tissue is excellent source, definitely, because you have this PEDC numbers are more predetermined. Developmental cells will be more in reproductive tissue. The physiological states of the plant is also very important. The plant should be a healthy plant. It should be growing in a healthy environment. It should not be under stress, salt stress or water stress or atmospheric pollution. அந்த மாதிரி ஸ்ட்ரெஸ்லாம் இல்லாமல் அந்த இடத்துல வளர்ற பிளான்ட் தான் யூ கேன் யூஸ் இட் ஃபார் micropropagation using somatic embryogenesis. So this is indirect embryogenesis. This is a few pictures about direct and indirect. So I have already told you what is a direct. So this, you can see the globular shape, the heart shape. Okay, this is the globular shape. The development, as the time advances, it becomes heart shaped, and then it the torpedo stage, and final matured embryos are produced. So you can see very well cotyledonary leaves are coming out. So you can see all the stages of normal embryo development even in somatic embryogenesis. This is indirect embryogenesis. So first the callus is produced, and then from the callus it is being converted to embryo using media. You have to optimize the media composition in such a way. So stages of somatic embryogenesis, again the same stages as we saw in callus culture or micropropagation. So callus initiation is the first step. Embryo development and maturation, plantlet formation is the third step. So for induction of callus, you need the auxin 2,4-D to induce embryogenesis. So for induction purposes, exogenous auxin for induction depends on nature of the explant used. So again, some explants will have the capacity to synthesize auxin if the precursor is provided in the medium. Some explants need the prepared auxin. So we should know what part of the plant is used as an explant, whether it is able to synthesize auxin or whether it requires. See, suppose it is able to synthesize auxin, if you put excess auxin, maybe the auxin amount will go excess. And so the required, the some embryogenesis may not take place properly. So you have to use your knowledge to find out whether what kind of explants are used, what amount of concentration of auxin has to be put in. So it is not just not like that, medium ms is medium is given and you prepare the ms medium, put the explant, immediately you will get somatic embryos. It is not like that. Everything has to be optimized according to the type of explant. And then after induction, after 4 weeks, you have the development stage when you have the reinitiation of cell division and a period of cell proliferation in presence of auxin embryogenic cells are released into the auxin-free medium. These cells are in clusters of cytoplasmic cells called proembryonic mass of cells. So proliferation of cells take place, callus development takes place. So they are called proembryonic mass of cells. It can be called callus also, but this is more specific because you are specifically trying to produce somatic embryos. It is not just general callus. So you have to give a term for that. That is why it is mentioned proembryonic mass of cells. They are nothing but callus cell, but it is slightly specific towards embryos. So maturation stage, you have the quality of somatic embryos. You normally if you see with the natural zygotic embryos, it is very difficult for somatic embryos to germinate because the conditions are very, what to say, vulnerable. The environmental condition, because the embryos are naked. They are not protected by the explant. They have no vascular connection with the explant. So they are very vulnerable. So that is why they say the germination rate or conversion into plant is very poor. That is the problem which is taken care of now with advanced technology. This is because normal looking somatic embryos are actually incomplete in their development, because you have normal seeds, you have endosperm, you have the perisperm, you have the coat. Okay, every part of the embryo is filled with nutrients because it is still attached to the plant. But here in somatic embryogenesis, it is totally independent. It has to take care of, it is very vulnerable. So that is why even if it looks like normal, even if this one looks like a normal torpedo embryo, but actually it is not normal. It is very vulnerable because it is not having any kind of, it totally depends on artificial nutrients, artificial protection, which you have to provide. Only then it can undergo maturation stage. So maturation is a problem with somatic embryos actually. So unlike seed embryos, they do not undergo, because I told this drying, the desiccation, when the normal seed germinates well only when it dries up for some time. So immediately if you collect the seeds and sow, they will not, each kind of seed has a different dormant phase. Dormancy means they undergo a period of rest, they undergo a period of desiccation. The seed has to dry, then only it can imbibe water. So germination, they say you put some seed in water, it will grow in size. It is called imbibition. So the seeds will absorb water and they will grow inside size. Then only they will split and the sprout comes out. If you see with any kind of seed, zygotic seed, you can see this. So this phase is very important. Only dry seeds will germinate faster. Only the seeds which undergo a normal dormancy stage, desiccation, drying, will germinate faster. But in this case, somatic embryos do not undergo such a phase. They are not undergoing a dormant phase like zygotic embryos. So This embryo maturation, which is seen in natural embryo, is not faced by the somatic embryos. So, this is very important, because in this phase only the seed, there is accumulation of reserve food materials. They say no sprouts. During the sprouting only, there is a lot of mobilization of nutrients. So it helps the embryo to grow. It helps the embryo to form the shoot, tip, or the root radical, or the plumule. So this is very important, which is not seen in somatic embryos. This is embryo maturation stage is a problem with somatic embryos. And another problem is the abscisic acid, which prevents precocious germination. Precocious germination means pre-germination. And the time முன்னாடியே germinate this precocious germination. It doesn't lead to a healthy plantlet. It promotes normal development of embryogenesis by triggering expression of genes which normally express during dying. But for somatic embryogenesis, ABA, abscisic acid, has been slightly advantageous, because they have seen that when ABA is included in the medium, it helps in the helps the somatic embryos to uh, grow, develop faster. They have seen normally abscisic acid is an inhibiting hormone. They don't normally use it for tissue culture, but specifically for somatic embryo studies, they have been using this just to mimic the drying stage of the seeds, which is very important. So if you see the important aspects of somatic embryos, auxins, the hormones are the most important aspects of somatic embryos. So for when you say auxin, they have seen 2,4-D is very good. And continuous supply of auxin causes embryogenic cells to divide without the appearance of embryos. So you have to make sure that it is only a proliferating hormone. So embryogenic cells after treatment with auxin must be transferred to auxin-free medium that constitute the embryo development medium. So this is also important with regard to auxin. If you just keep it in auxin containing medium for a long time, you will only get callus-like growth. It will not be differentiated into embryos. So immediately you have to transfer it to an auxin-free medium. So cytokinin, it is also important. It produces globular embryo from initial embryos. It is, if you specifically, it induces the formation of globular embryo. Zeatin is a natural cytokinin. They have worked with zeatin and BAP and kinetin. They have seen that BAP and kinetin have inhibitory effect on embryogenesis. Okay, so BAP is a kind of cytokinin, whereas zeatin is normally you find it in Zea mays. It is a natural cytokinin produced in Zea mays. They have seen this use of zeatin is good for embryogenesis. So high ratio of cytokinin to auxin induces shoot formation. This is normal. When you once you inoculate a embryo, somatic embryo into a medium, you have to make sure that the medium releases auxin and cytokinin at the appropriate concentration. Only then it can favor both rooting and shooting at the same time. So, and natural gibberellins inhibits somatic embryogenesis. This abscisic acid is playing a role in embryo maturation, and it inhibits secondary embryogenesis. Okay, and you need a nitrogen source also. Reduced form of nitrogen in any form of ammoniacal form of nitrogen. Reduced form means the nitrogen in combination with hydrogen. It is a reduced form, like ammonia salts. They are very good for embryo formation. Other substances are polyamines. They have seen they normally in both in vitro and in vivo somatic embryos. They are also involved in cell growth and aging. So they have made use of putrescine, spermidine, and spermine, in which they showed that putrescine showed the drastic increase in somatic embryos. Apart from the hormones, polyamines also play a role in generation of somatic embryos. Um, One of the more important factor is the genotype of the explant. Genotypic effect on somatic embryogenesis occurs for regeneration via shoot bud differentiation. See, this variation is called as epigenetic variation. So even though the genetic stability of the embryos are there, you can expect genetic variations due to endogenous levels of hormones. Endogenous levels of hormones, I told you, some explants, they produce hormones on their own, some of them. So in that case, you can, if you are giving extraneous hormones, they can lead to epigenetic variations. So that also has to be taken care of. Sometimes you can stimulate somatic embryogenesis using electrical, mild electric current also. So they have worked with alfalfa and tobacco, and they have found that current of this amount of DC for 20 hours have promoted induced embryogenesis. So it seems to promote the differentiation of shoot embryo by affecting cell polarity. So by changing, by applying electrical differences in the callus or the cells, they could promote the polarity. Like how they have even seen changes in the microtubules, that is the cell division, that is important in cytokinesis, induction of the asymmetric first division. So polarity itself means asymmetry. There is some amount of asymmetry. What are the advantages of somatic embryogenesis? You have, see, lack of material is not a limiting factor. So you have any kind of material, you can get convert it into a somatic embryo. A high propagation rate, definitely. It is observable, they have seen. That's the first advantage. You can see actually what it is happening, how it is developing. You can see, you can see it is visualized. And then high propagation rate, somaclonal variations are possible. I told you epigenetic variations, drastic, sometimes it is not genetic, it is extra genetic அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவோம். So somaclonal variations, normally variations, recombinations will happen only during sexual reproduction. Meiosis-ல தான் you will get recombination, crossing over. Okay, அதெல்லாம் வந்து meiosis-ல தான் நடக்கும். So variation is possible only through sexual reproduction, but in somatic embryogenesis, they have seen variations. They are called somaclonal variations. So somaclonal variations are a result of this epigenetic changes. When you change the environmental condition in such a way that it induces some change, structural change in the DNA, leading to difference in gene expression. So they are called somaclonal variations. You can use it for germplasm conservation. Somaclonal variations are very important because normally what you are producing during micropropagation is clone, just like the parent. The plantlets will have the same character as the parent, but you need variations in this also. Variations are, they are advantageous even in tissue culture methods. So somaclonal variation provide the needed variation. You need, when the variation is advantageous variation, it is good. So they are promoting somaclonal variations also. So they subject the particular embryos to a certain condition in which it can produce a different kind of variation. So that is a desirable variation. So like that, many plants micropropagation methods have been induced somaclonal variations which are desirable. So that is also done. So labor saving, definitely they say it is labor saving and elimination of diseases and viruses. This is a general advantage for even the micropropagation technique. But disadvantages are also there because it is somatic embryos or embryogenesis confined to very few species of plants. They show very poor germination because of their physiological and biochemical immaturity. The maturation phase is missing. The desiccation phase is not there. Dormancy is not there. So you also see instability of culture cells in long-term cultures. So it is very difficult in commercial exploitation and mass propagation of somatic embryos. So John, not just not like micropropagation through other means. Organogenesis. See, micropropagation through organogenesis is having what to say, more. It is more stable. It is more stable. They are able to survive better. But micropropagation using somatic embryogenesis, they have seen that survivability is less because you know they are physiologically and biochemically immature. You have to convert the somatic embryos to artificial seeds, only then their germinability rate is more. Only then the mass propagation is possible. So that is another technology. Okay, so this is an important disadvantage why somatic embryos are not being exploited. You know, even though they have very good, what to say, properties and characters, this problem is limitation is more than the advantages. So that is why they are not well practiced as organogenesis. Organogenesis is practiced more than somatic embryogenesis commercially. So what are the factors that affect somatic embryogenesis? You know, the developmental stage is very important. Even though you get many kinds of explants can be used, the character of explant is very important. The developmental stage of explant is very important because it should not be under any kind of stress. So more often, young juvenile explants, they produce more somatic embryos than older explant, which is understandable because young cells will have more of this predetermined, somatic cells, PEDC, no, predetermined cells. So as a further complexity, different explant tissue from the same mother plant produced embryogenic callus at different frequencies. So the leaf from you take a leaf from the bottom portion of the plant or from the top portion of the plant, they showed variation in the somatic embryogenesis. So it is so much variability is there. So, and growth regulators, we have also discussed this at length, auxins and cytokinins, and gibberellic acid, abscisic acid, how it induces the maturation phase, nitrogen source, how it, see, ammonium form of nitrogen has a promotive effect. But they have seen nitrate also has shown some effect of, but always the reduced form of nitrogen is better than the oxidized form of nitrogen. And other factors like potassium levels, low dissolved oxygen. See, oxygen is very important for somatic embryos because without oxygen they cannot germinate. But in somatic embryos, providing oxygen is a problem. So it prevents somatic embryo regeneration. So low dissolved oxygen, you should see that the oxygen level in the medium is very high. Otherwise, they will prevent regeneration from somatic embryo. So that is a very important factor which has to be taken care of. So this is just a flow chart to show how the somatic explant callus grows into various forms of uh, embryogenesis to finally give you the final finished product of the embryo. This is from this stage, regeneration is a challenge because you have to take care of the most important stage of maturation, desiccation, dormancy, okay, and oxygen content. So after this stage, all the important factors have to be taken care of. Only then the success of regeneration is possible in somatic embryogenesis. Okay, girls, you please rejoin for the other 10 minutes. Just rejoin because
Yes,
it is
ma'am.
going to stop now. So I'll be dealing with the artificial seeds in the next session.
Okay.
Just rejoin.
Yes, ma'am.